Howdy, howdy, this is Crafty Grinding back again with an arena cutoff video for Marvel Contest of Champions. Today I'm going to cover round one predictions for the Blade and Rocket Raccoon arenas. So, what I typically like to do first, if you're new to any of my prediction videos, is kind of figure out how do these arenas compare to past arenas, and I do that through kind of a cluster analysis because basically, if you look at the different clusters over time, there's different groupings of arenas kind of fall into the same kind of ballpark, if you will. So, if I can classify which of these new arenas compared to the old arenas, that'll help me with the trend analysis for basically the predictions. And when it comes to 4-star and 3-star feature arenas, there's two big clusters. You're either in the old champ or new champ, and based off of that, then that determines your cluster. With Blade, it's pretty clear he's a new champ. And where it gets a little trickier though is with the 4-star basic arenas. There's basically three big clusters of arena cutoffs. There's kind of high interest, so those like a 4 million plus, think Dormammu, Archangel, Iceman, etc. Then there's this mid-tier cluster. Think Cable, think Psylocke, think Angela that we recently had come through. And then there's some low interest, what I call low interest, even though there's some pretty decent champs in there. Iron Man, Black Panther. To name just a few, and if based off of kind of what I've seen in the community, Rocket's kind of in an interesting situation. I think he's going to be on the high end of the low tier cluster, but still kind of be in the tier, not enough to really jump up into that Cable, Psylocke, or Angela mid tier, but really hang in the low tier, but on the high end. But now that I have the clusters kind of identified for the new arenas, then what I like to do is look at the actual past results of similar like arenas. So when I look at the recent low tier results, you can see that they're pretty steady in terms of the recent first round cutoffs. When you look at Black Panther, Old Man Logan, Iron Fist, they're all kind of in that 2 million, a little bit above 2 million range. And for the Shard Hunters out there, the 11 to 25% tier, kind of around the 1.5, that last milestone kind of reward area. Then when we take a look at some recent new 4-star feature results, and most recently Medusa, Mephisto, and Morningstar, you can see that there's some variation in there, all the way from 16.5 to 18.5. So 2 million, even though the 4-star feature, it's easy, not easy, but it's easier to grind out a couple million or a million. There's still a lot of variation in there. But what's interesting is if you look at the top 10% for the Shard Hunters, it's right around 4.5 million. So again, the last milestone reward a couple 100,000 above it, and then even for the 11% tier, which isn't displayed here, but that's right, it hovers right around 1.8 to 2 million, 2.1 million, that kind of neighborhood. And then when we take a look at the recent new 3-star feature results, you can see that right around 1.5 to 1.6 million, so 100,000 variation with between the Medusa, Mephisto, and Morningstar arenas. With for the Shard Hunters out there, the 11 to 25% tier, right around 650,000, so about 10 to 20,000, almost 30,000 higher than that last 640,000 milestone reward. And if you're new to the channel, one of the things you may not have seen or new to my prediction videos is I've started to ask the community now through arena previews, and so this is the second time now I've done this, where I think that the low, Rocket Raccoon's low arena, low tier arena is kind of defined, pretty defined. There is a lot of variation as I shown in the 4-star feature, and there is still some even in the 3-star feature. So that's kind of what I focused on in terms of the arena preview, is asking the community, asking you basically, what do you think the Blade 4-star arena cutoff will be? And it's the same for the 3-star arena. So thank you out there for everybody who participated, received over 171 votes. And you can see the community is kind of split between that 17.5 to 19 million. So everybody definitely thinks it's going to be higher than Medusa, closer, even higher than Morningstar, closer to that Mephisto number, but even pushing it higher. And then there's some out there, half the community thinks he's going to push to an all-time first round high, maybe even get to that 20 million mark. When I take a look at some of the comments that folks put out there, if you look at Man Has No Name, he doesn't think he's going to break 20 million, but he'll definitely set a new record. And you can see that he's in that 17.5 to 19 million. So Mephisto said it right around 18.5. So even though he's saying 17.5 to 19 million, A man has no name thinks he's going to break the new record, so he's closer to that 19 million. In reality, almost 19 million plus. And then when you just look at Vinny Gaines here, he says it pretty easy. History will be made. So he clearly thinks it's going to be 19 million plus. Now, when we swing over to the three-star feature arena and the input for the Blade cutoff, the community again is kind of split here. You've got, you know, over half, 52%, thinking he's going to land somewhere between 1.55 to 1.65 million, and then you almost have half, 45% of the audience, the community thinks it's going to be 1.65 million. And we look at some individual comments when we look at Steady Torchman, the combination of all the bleed damage and fantastic awakening healing when blocked. I would expect so much from this arena. That was the combination of constantly inflated plus, and this is a good point, with the combination of the constantly inflating point scores, got to be around 1.68 million for him. So he definitely thinks, he's part of that 1.65 million plus. And then when you see Sith Wrath 2021, he thinks it's going to be in that 122, or he or she. So I think it's going to be in that 1.55 to 1.65, and is my guess. But that person is going to aim for 2 million just to be safe. So even though this person thinks, even though Sith Wraith 2021 thinks it's going to be in that 1.55 to 1.65, they're safely going to get to 2 million to make sure that he or she can get Blade. So anyway, thank you again very much for the folks that have taken time to vote over there in the community section, and just keep your eyes open for the arena previews in the future, as you too will have a say and helping with my predictions. But back to the round one prediction stuff. So now that we have kind of an idea what the community thinks, what some of the past arenas look like, here's a graphical view of those past arenas as well. You can see kind of like I think it was. Steady Brathman, or not, but anyway, one of the community folks said, the steady increase. Well, if you look at the four-star feature new champs, you can see that steady increase over time from Dr. Octopus, Kingpin, Medusa, pushing it forward. Now with Morningstar, there was a little bit returned, a dip down, but Blade and based on their community, a lot of folks think that Blade's going to push up. When you look at the four-star basic low interest, now this one's actually kind of like a sliding scale, going down a little bit, with Iron Man, Black Panther, Old Man, Logan, Iron Fist, and Groot. The only thing I will say though is that Rocket Raccoon, a lot of folks like Rocket because of how hard he hits, so this one might return a little bit back to Iron Man. But what is interesting also for those shard hunters out there, 11 to 25%, you can see that number pretty much stays the same, as pretty much flat. Even jumping over to the four-star feature graph on the left, you can see that the top 10% and 11% are pretty much flat as well. And then we hop all the way over here to the right for the three-star feature graph, and you can see that there's some fluctuation, a little spikes up and down, but pretty much generally going up, an upward trend. And with Mephisto and Morningstar most recently around 1.6 to 1.5, almost 1.55 million for Morningstar. So based off the community's response, based off of these trends, based off of the different clusters, here are my round one predictions. I think we're going to be right around that 19.5 million cut. I don't think the cutoff is going to directly push over to 20 million. I think that there's been so much hype and so much talk about these arenas. Some folks might be turned off. I mean, there's definitely be a core crew that's going to push this number high, but I think we're going to be right around that 19.5 million. For the top 10%, you saw that cutoff was right around 4.6, 4.7, with the general trend up kind of thing, with 4.6 being the most recent. So I think we'll be at 4.7 for the cutoff. And for the 11% shard grinders, you should look around 2.1 million. Now for the cutoff for the four-star basic for Rocket, basically, I think we're going to be looking at 2.4 million. It's going to go up a little bit, reverse that kind of trend that we've seen of it sliding down a bit, just because of the utility that Rocket still brings, given how hard he hits, especially once awakens. So folks out there maybe want to awaken the Rocket they already have. I think you'll see that cutoff running around 2.4 million, with 11 to 25% coming in at that kind of flat line around 1.6 million. And lastly, coming over to the right here for the three-star feature, I think again here Blade's going to push it up higher to that 1.7 million. You see these numbers fluctuating up and down, but definitely trending up. And so I think at this point you're going to see that number go up to 1.7 million with 11 to 25% at 670,000. Now, when we head over to the grind target, you can see the top 800 So just, and especially if you're new to my videos, these are where I think the actual cutoffs will be based off the input from the community as well as the trends. So these are grind targets. These are kind of like safer numbers I'd like to kind of give out there. If I think the cutoffs are going to be those numbers I've talked about before, here's where I think you need to grind to feel kind of safe. Never is anyone safe in these numbers because exceptions can always occur. But at least if you go into this range, you should be pretty much safe. And then from time to time, you may go over the cutoff quite significantly, but at least you're still getting the champ. And I think, given the excitement around Blade, better safe than sorry this time around. So if you really want to get him for the 4-star feature, you better go to 20.5 million for the top 10%, 4.9 million for the 4-star basic, 2.6 million for the 11 to 25%, 1.7 million, and then lastly for the Blade 3-star feature, go to 1.8 million to feel safe, and then 11 to 25% go to 690,000. Now, to be clear, these grind targets and round one predictions are all for the veteran bracket. So if your account's only 30 to 1 to 30 days old, or 30 to 31 to 60, then this information is going to be relevant for you. The beginners bracket, that's 1 to 30 days, 3-star feature around 245, 4-star basic right around a million, and then 4-star feature the same with one right around 1 million. To be clear, these are just general guidelines, though. There's not a lot of historical data out there to show what the past results will look like. So keep this information kind of like is with a grain of salt. So at the end of the day, especially with a lot of interest out there for Blade, I would just say grind as much as you can, because even though you're playing in newer accounts, a lot of these newer accounts are second or third or maybe even fourth accounts for players that have been in the game for some time. So they know the importance of Blade and they're going to drive it up. And then lastly, with the intermediate bracket, you can see for the 3-star feature, 650,000, 4-star basic, 1.2 million roughly, and the 4-star feature, you better go to about 1.7 million. That was some of the things that I saw, like with a champion personally myself with like Medusa. So you want to drive and Mephisto, as I just recently had my Crafty Grinding account go through the intermediate bracket. So I can personally tell you that those were the numbers that I saw. So anyway, these are my thoughts based off of the great input. Again, thank you very much, community, as well as the past trends analysis. Would love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section. Any questions, throw it down in the comment sections, or just any general conversations around the crazy numbers we're expecting to see with these arenas. Please throw it on down in the comment sections, and we can talk about it there. And if you like this video, would really appreciate you clicking that thumbs up button. And if you like this video and others that I have in the channel, would really appreciate a subscribe. Other than that, thanks a lot for stopping by and have a great day.